something happens after the longest day of the year. You would think that after 夏至, the summer solstice, the peak of light, things would feel settled. Maximum sunshine, maximum energy, the year at its fullest. And yet, if you are a woman over 45, there is a good chance that the weeks after the solstice bring something unexpected. You lie down tired. The room is finally dark. And then your mind simply does not stop. Thoughts circling. Not anxious exactly, just present, awake. As if sleep is a country you can see from the border, but cannot quite cross into. You lie there, watching the minutes pass, wondering what is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you, but your body is responding to something real, something the Chinese traditional medicine has been observing and mapping for over 2,000 years. And once you understand what it is, the sleeplessness makes complete sense. 夏至, the summer solstice, June 21st this year, the longest day. In TCM, 夏至 marks the absolute peak of yang energy in the annual circle. Yang is the energy of activity, expansion, warmth, upward movement, light. And at the solstice, it reaches its maximum expression, not just outside in the world, but inside your body. Here is what most people do not know. In Chinese medicine, extreme yang contains within it the seed of yin. The very moment yang peaks is the moment yin begins to stir. This is the logic of the Tai Chi, the Tai Chi symbol, the dark point within the white point within the dark. Nothing stays at its maximum. The turn is built into the peak. So, after 夏至, yang begins its gradual retreat. Yin begins its gradual return. The days start shortening, barely perceptible at first, then more noticeable through July. Your body resists this shift, not consciously, not as a thought, as a physiological signal. The transition from maximum yang toward returning yin creates a specific kind of instability in the body's internal environment. And in women over 45, whose yin is already in a phase of natural change, this instability is felt most acutely at night. To understand post-solstice sleep disruption through a TCM lens, you need to understand one relationship: the heart and the shen. In Chinese medicine, the heart is not simply a pump. It is the residence of shen, which translates roughly as spirit, consciousness, or the quality of your mental and emotional presence. During the day, the Shen is active, engaged, outward facing. At night, it is supposed to return to the heart and rest there, allowing you to sleep deeply, dream appropriately, and wake restored. For this to happen, the heart needs to be cool and calm. It needs sufficient yin, the cooling, anchoring, moistening quality to hold the Shen in place during sleep. But summer is the season of the heart. The heart meridian is at its peak activity. The external heat of summer resonates with the heart's natural fire. And at 夏至, when yang energy is at its maximum and beginning its restless transition, the heart is receiving more stimulation than at any other period in the year. The result is Shen cannot settle. Not because something is wrong with your mind, but because the container, the yin of the heart, is under seasonal pressure precisely when it most needs to be stable. This is why you lie there with the mind that will not stop. This is why sleep feels light and unstoring even when it eventually comes. This is why you wake up at 2 or 3 a.m., the heart's most active hour in the CSM clock, and find yourself suddenly awake. Every woman experiences some degree of post-solstice sleep disruption, but for women over 45, the experience is intensified for a specific reason. This life phase involves a natural decline of kidney yin, the deepest, most foundational layer of cooling and nourishing energy in the body. The kidney is the root system. The heart is the flower. When the root's yin is strong, it anchors and cools the heart above it. When kidney yin declines, and as it naturally does in this phase of life, the heart loses some of its grounding. It runs hotter. It is more easily disturbed. Add the maximum yang stimulation of 夏至 to an already less anchored heart, and you understand why so many women in their 40s and 50s described their worst sleep of the year happening in late June and early July. Not in the depths of winter, in the fullness of summer, when by every external measure they should be sleeping well. They are not imagining it. The TCM framework explains it precisely. And here is what matters. This is not a permanent state. It is a seasonal pattern. Understanding it means you can work with it rather than against it. And stop spending these weeks wondering what has gone wrong with you. I want to give you 3 specific practical things for this window between 夏至 and 小暑. These are not sleep hygiene tips you have heard before. They are seasonal, collaborated interventions based on what your body actually needs right now. First, cool and anchor your evenings. The heart needs cooling as the sun goes down. This means consciously reducing stimulation from about 7 p.m. onward. And I do not mean screens only. It means the internal temperature of your activities. High-intensity conversations, emotionally demanding decisions, vigorous exercises in the evening. All of this stoke heart fire at exactly the moment you need it to settle. Even 15 minutes of quiet sitting outside as the evening cools. Not meditation as a discipline, just stillness begins to signal the Shen that it is time to return home. Second, nourish Heart Yin through what you eat. Specific foods have specific affirmatives in TCM. For Heart Yin in summer, lotus seeds, which directly calms the Shen, lily bubble, which clears heat from the heart and lung, mulberries, which nourish the blood and anchor the spirit. These are not exotic ingredients. They are available in most Asian grocery stores and increasingly in health food shops. A simple congee with lotus seeds in the evening through this window is genuine medicine. Not metaphorically, actually. Third, stop fighting the 2 a.m. waking. If you wake between 1 and 3 a.m., the liver hour in the TCM body clock, or between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m., the gallbladder hour, do not immediately reach for your phone or lie there fighting. Instead, place one hand on your chest. Breathe slowly and deliberately into that hand for 5 minutes. And allow rather than resist. The resistance itself activates the nervous system further. Allowing the wakefulness without catastrophizing it changes the body's stress response entirely. Most women find they drift back to sleep within 20 minutes when they stop fighting the pattern. We are in the most luminous weeks of the year. The days are long. The light is extraordinary. And your body is navigating something real and specific underneath all of that beauty. The sleeplessness of late June and early July is not random. It is not weakness. It is your body responding with precision to the largest energetic transition in the annual circle. The peak of yang, the first stirring of returning yin, a transition that is felt most sensitively by women who are themselves in a major transition of their own. There is intelligence in this pattern. You do not have to simply endure it. You can learn to read it. Next time, we move into July, past 小暑, into the territory of 初伏, the first heat period of summer. And I want to talk about something that happens to almost every high-achieving woman in mid-July that she has never had a name for until now. Until then, sleep gently. And when you cannot sleep, remember, your heart is simply running warm. It is not broken. It is just responding to the season. So are you.